Kirsten Gillibrand is a Democrat, but she's a corporate Democrat. Well, what does that mean? We're going to explain that to you in a minute. But she's got a rock star of a son, 22 years old, just happened to trip over $30 million to start a new business. And in fact, his business is instantly worth $300 million. And that happened the day after he graduated from college. Gee, I wonder if his mom being a US Senator helped him at all. Let's find out.
Yeah, no, he's just a dynamite kid, dynamite resume, I guess it must be. It looks like he's gonna be quite rich, and I was raised in a country that told me that rich people are better than me, and I believe it implicitly. Anyway, here's what his LinkedIn profile looked like, so you can judge. Maybe we're being unfair to his years of experience in private equity or whatever. He was a legislative intern at the US Senate. I wonder how he got that job. Anyway, government affairs, so again, tied to that, policy and macro, and then eventually gets into this private equity or stuff. All of these are 2-month or 1-month internships across the course of a couple of years. It's like summer stuff that he was doing or whatever. And I'm sure he had a great experience and met people that will be lifelong friendships or whatever, but we're more interested in the money he was able to generate instantly upon graduating. So he managed to secure $30 million for his new startup, American Perpetuals Exchange Corp, or APEC, I guess. And we're going to attempt to explain what it is that is or does. The main thing you need to understand to help you process this is that apparently, starting a few years back, Wall Street wasn't abstract and based on hype and disconnected from reality enough. So rich people started coming up with like basically trading vibes and predictions about rumors and stuff. And whatever it is, they seem to make a lot of money off of it. So this is a trading platform that aims to list what they call perpetual futures, or perps, a form of futures contracts that allow traders to bet on the price of assets without holding the assets themselves. As opposed to standard futures, these derivatives don't have a set expiration date. That was too limiting, I guess. Anyway, his startup plans to apply for a license from the Commodity Futures Trading Commission to list perpetuals for equities and stock indices, not cryptocurrencies, according to a presentation filed with the SEC. So that doesn't mean that it's not sort of important vis-a-vis crypto. So perps have a unique significance in the world of crypto as they have no end date. As a result, they never require one side to hand over the commodity in question. Again, it never needs to be tied to the real world in literally any way. Instead, money is made by correctly betting on whether the price of the commodity will increase or decrease. So if you have access to insider trading, this is another field that will be great for you. Since 2016, when they were first introduced on the scandal-ridden BitMEX crypto exchange, perps have become one of the primary ways that traders extract profit out of the crypto industry. They eliminate the need to actually own crypto, so anyone can indulge in the get-rich-quick culture of digital assets. They also offer, because they're perpetual, they offer 24/7 trading cycles, allowing users to constantly monitor the prices of their ever so volatile assets. As a result, global daily trading volume of these perps is in the billions of dollars, often far exceeding the amount of actual cryptocurrency that changes hands. Again, sort of makes sense. Crypto is supposed to take over everything, and it really isn't used in an actual physical way, practical way, more than it was years ago, but they've found some way to make money off of it. And all of this is being done. We could talk about the connections, which I'm sure when Peter Thiel gets involved, Cenk is gonna be very interested in that. But this dude just graduated from college. And he's starting up this entire platform and getting all of these investments. And neither his ability to put together the platform nor the money being invested in it has anything to do with his family, supposedly. Cenk, what do you think?
Yeah, so there's two different issues here. Number one, overall, this is a terrible idea. Why? Not because like people won't use it. My issue is that I'm afraid people will use it too much. So why am I afraid about that? Look, I like gambling, and this is basically gambling. And I know the markets just well enough to think, well, that's an interesting option to have, to be able to bet in this way. But I also know the markets well enough to know why they crashed in 2008. And it was because of derivatives and collateralized debt obligations and how they had become unmoored from the value of the houses. What they would do is they would do bets on a package of mortgages but not connected to the mortgages, which sounds actually very similar to this. Just take out houses and mortgages and put in crypto. And so when you decouple that way, then what you're left with is basically pure gambling, right?
Yeah.
And so that usually leads to disaster. And because it's one thing when, hey, there's a guy, he's got in over his head, he gambled too much, he lost his house, that's a personal tragedy, right? But when bankers do it with billions of dollars, collectively trillions of dollars, that endangers the entire US and global economy. And that's not a hypothetical, it already happened in 2008. And if you remember, we lost about 12 to 13 million jobs after that crash. So they play games. If they make money, they keep it. If they lose money, they get the corrupt politicians to bail them out, but you lose your job. So now, who are the corrupt politicians? Oh, look at that. That leads us to issue number 2, his mom. Look, I don't know anything about this kid, and he's probably a bright kid. He went to Stanford. He interned at Andreessen Horowitz, which is legendary firm in Silicon Valley that it does all these investments. So I'm sure he knows a lot of people. He went to the startup capital of the world at Stanford. So it's not like he's just, this is utter corruption and it's Jared Kushner pretending that he knows how to run basically a finance company when he's never run a finance company, or Hunter Biden being a Ukrainian gas expert or anything like that. But nevertheless, a kid coming out of college getting $30 million handed to him with zero track record, could that be related to the fact that his mom is one of the most pro-crypto legislators in the country, let alone within the Democratic Party? And John, my guess is yes, it has a lot to do with that, because once you invest into Gillibrand's son's business, then Gillibrand's family has an enormous financial incentive, not just the campaign contributions, which she's already gobbled up from them, but now money in their pockets. If you loosen regulations on crypto, you do whatever the crypto industry wants, so they could do this out of control gambling. Could that have something to do with investing in that particular kid? Come on, anybody who isn't a schmuck knows, of course that has a ton to do with this investment.
Yeah, and there's still a lot of questions to be answered, once it gets set up or whatever. Like, it's one thing to inject a whole bunch of capital into this thing to make it happen. That's very helpful to the young man. But then also, once they have the platform, are they going to be charging fees for trade on it? Like, like everybody's gotten, I think, rightfully like incensed by all the World Liberty Financial stuff and all the insane amount that the Trump family has been able to extract just in fees from people using the platform, knowing that if they use the platform, the Trump family gets enriched. So it's a great way to bribe the family and not break any laws. Are they gonna be able to do the exact same thing on this? Is this a way to effectively give Gillibrand's family money in a way that's not technically illegal? I don't know. We'll have to see. I don't like the proliferation of this though. And I do think that if you find Trump's, financial maneuverings and everything to be corrupt, which you should be mad when other people do it too. And I think that like all the prediction market stuff, the way that clearly they're using insider information about the beginning or ending of tariffs, raising or lowering, a ceasefire, all of that. They're betting crazy amounts of money on these prediction markets using insider trading. Donald Trump and the White House are the only people that can do that. I think it should be illegal so that none of these politicians or their families can benefit in that way. And it's clear that crypto is rife with not just outright cons, pump and dumps and stuff like that, but insider information is so easy to use. It's so hard to track literally any of this. And so is it any wonder that it's regulated as little as it is? In no small part thanks to the work of Kirsten Gillibrand. And she wants to do even more deregulation of this industry. Again, knowing that it is going to benefit her family. All of this, whether it's actually illegal or not, seems wildly corrupt and needs to be massively reined in.
Yeah, so 2 more things on that. So look, this is why we can't stand corporate Democrats or establishment Democrats, because they say one thing and then do the other. So if you listen to a Gillibrand speech, she'll tell you about, oh, she's for the little guy and we're gonna get wages up and I'm so concerned about affordability and blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, she's taking cash from every one of these corporations, right? So in this case, the crypto guys. And so she doesn't mean it, that's the thing. So mainstream media hides all of those facts from you. They never tell you that they actually don't mean any of their speeches. They're actually on the other side. And so then when you go, hey, I think we should primary Gillibrand and get a real Democrat, and they're like, how dare you? Did you see her speech? Her speech was so lovely. She did such a wonderful job of pretending to be on your side and then took all that crypto cash and totally betrayed you and deregulation of a very volatile industry, which is the exact opposite of the Democratic policies. You see how this is, like you would know all this and they would cover it all over cable news if we had honest news, but we don't have honest news in the national media. We have propaganda to hide all of this from you. So I want to give you a sense of how that wealth works, right? So you get a $30 million investment, that's an investment, the kid doesn't have the 30 million. But the valuation is 300 million, and he's the founder. Now the founder doesn't have the whole company because the investors get a bunch, there's other folks who get, but a founder, I mean, I'd be surprised, especially in the first round, if he didn't get at least 20%. That means if they sold the company tomorrow, the Gillibrand family would walk away with $60 million. You think she doesn't care about that? I mean, you'd have to be a schmuck on the level of a cable news anchor to think that she doesn't care about that. Of course she does. So is this going to lead to the Democrats secretly working with the Republicans to deregulate this industry while they're pretending to be on your side? Yes. That's what it's definitely going to lead to. So,
and just one other fact, Cenk, that is relevant to what you're saying. I just assumed because all of our elected officials are crazy rich that Gillibrand must be crazy rich too. And we never know for sure exactly what people's net worth is, but Open Secret says that it's in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. At least it was like a decade ago. But she's not like, she doesn't have $200 million or whatever. So like she's actually one of the poorest in the Senate, or at least was. That is a massive opportunity for her entire family's fortunes going forward.
Look, I'm guessing at the 20%. By the way, it could be higher, it could be 50%. It could be a lot of numbers, right? But let's stick with the low 20%. That's $60 million. That's a lot of money to anyone. And certainly to Kirsten Gillibrand and her family. Again, you just have to be the biggest schmuck in the world or a national media reporter to think, oh, I bet it doesn't affect her decisions at all. And that's what they'll write going forward. The next time there's a crypto bill, they'll never mention this. They'll never mention how much money she took in campaign contributions from the crypto industry. And if you challenge her, all of the media will lie straight to your face and tell you, oh no, Gillibrand's a wonderful Democrat. Wonderful, only radicals would want to primary her. No, you should pick a Democrat just like her to, for bigger positions. And of course, they'll push for a Democrat just like her to be president. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.